Coming up on WTVD 11 News, a tragic mishap at Fort Bragg this morning. 5 men died in a fiery crash. We'll have a live report. A Durham policeman escaped with his life last night. He was attacked while on duty.
And I'm Miriam Thomas, live on the newest leg of Interstate 40. The ribbon is stretched across it, and soon it'll be cut, opening it up just in time for the Olympic Sports Festival. I'll be back in a minute with a live report.
Those stories and more coming up next on WTVD 11 News.
Tonight.
Today is your birthday?
Yeah.
What did you get me?
Perfect strangers. An Arvid's a dating animal.
What does he have that I don't have? It's all that extra stuff that you have that he doesn't have.
Hand of the class. Then.
I'm asking for your help.
You got it. Whatever it takes. MacGyver delivers. And addiction takes its toll.
Get help, or don't bother coming back to the St. Gregory
Hotel.
Tonight, right here on WTVD 11.
How much money would you pay to get rid of your wrinkles? How much is it worth to you to look younger? On the next Oprah Winfrey Show, we're going to take a dip into the fountain of youth to find out which of these anti-aging techniques are scams, which are not. You'll find out how to give yourself a 24-hour facelift, which makes you look younger, at least for an evening, on the next Oprah Winfrey Show.
Tomorrow afternoon at 4, right here on WTVD 11.
Been searching, waiting for the right time to buy a new car. Well, now your Nissan dealer comes to the rescue with big summer savings incentives, and that means savings of up to $700 on reliable Nissan family cars, economical Sentras, roomy Stanzas, and luxurious Maximas. Your Nissan dealer's new factory incentives put you in the driver's seat. We've got the right deal on the right car right now. But hurry, savings incentives end soon at your North Carolina Nissan dealers.
From across the heart of Carolina, you're watching WTVD 11, Durham, Raleigh, Fayetteville. All tonight's news is next with Larry Stogner, the complete weather with Mike Caplan, and the latest sports with Ron Savage.
It was a horrifying scene this morning at Fort Bragg as thousands of spectators looked on. An Air Force C-130 cargo plane taking part in military exercises hit the runway hard, skidded more than 1,000 yards, and finally burst into flames as it hit a grove of trees.
At the end of the drop zone. Ladies and gentlemen, please stay seated.
4 crewmen were killed along with an Army soldier on the ground. Good evening, everyone. The whole situation was incredible. Those words today from one of the spectators who witnessed the crash and the pandemonium that followed. And at this hour, investigators are beginning the grim task of figuring out why the plane went out of control and why 5 men are dead. WTVD's Ed Crump is live near the crash scene with more on this incredible mishap. Ed?
Well, Larry, this engine you see behind me is one of the few pieces left out here of what was once a huge aircraft, a C-130. Now, the aircraft came down, and some Army vehicles were sitting down here at the end of the drop zone. As you can see, it crashed into them. In fact, one of the people who was killed was in one of these vehicles. The C-130 was just part of a routine capabilities exercise here at the Sicily drop zone at Fort Bragg when something terrible went wrong. The C-130 was supposed to make a low pass and drop a tank out of its rear door, but as it approached, the parachute attached to the tank appeared to deploy too soon. Then the plane nosed down, and it became obvious it was about to crash. Here's another angle of the crash. Spectators in the bleachers were less than the length of a football field away as the plane tore apart, then burst into flames right before their eyes.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stay seated. Okay.
Many people panicked, some ran. It took more than an hour just to calm the crowd. A full 3.5 hours after the crash, most of the spectators were brought back here to the parking lots at Hendricks Stadium. Many couldn't believe what they had seen.
Well, we came out here just to see the show, and, when it was just really scary, because we looked over and we saw that big explosion. Like I said, everybody just jumped up and nobody knew what was going on.
I didn't react until really after I turned around and seen that it stopped and everything, it blew up. But, then that's when it started hitting us and stuff. It was bad.
5 servicemen were killed in the crash. 4 were Air Force personnel on the plane. The 5th was an Army soldier whose vehicle was hit by the plane. 2 other men were also injured. Now, right now, you're looking at a live picture of the tail section of the plane, about the biggest part that's left, stuck in the trees way down at the end of the drop zone. Again, debris scattered all around us. Larry, it's going to take quite a while to look into this wreck. The investigation is underway, but we understand that today was a practice for some exercises tomorrow, and those exercises will go on as scheduled.
All right, Ed Crump, live in Fort Bragg. Thank you very much, and we apologize for those technical problems. Today's accident is the most recent in a string of military mishaps. In the last 2 weeks, 19 military personnel have lost their lives during training exercises. On June 22nd, a UH-1 Huey helicopter crashes during a training exercise at Fort Hood, Texas, killing 10 Army reservists. Then just 2 days later, another National Guardsman dies at Fort Hood after being hit by a shell fired from a tank. And this past Sunday, 3 American soldiers are killed in West Germany after an accidental dynamite blast during another training exercise. Now today, 5 more soldiers have lost their lives. Now, 2 other crewmen who were on that C-130 are still alive at Womack Army Hospital at Fort Bragg. WTVD's Kelly McHenry is there live with the latest on their conditions and a look at just what went wrong. Kelly?
Larry, officials are not releasing a lot of information about the victims tonight. We do know that both airmen are in stable condition and will be transported to Brooke Army Hospital at Fort Sam Houston, Texas, sometime tonight. Thinking of them and the 5 who were killed today, you're probably wondering, as did I, why did this have to happen? What exactly went wrong? Well, we won't know the full details for a while, but we do know tonight what technically caused the crash. The C-130 transport plane was supposed to drop a tank off onto the runway. Now, here's how it's supposed to be done. This drop was performed 2 years ago during CAPEX exercises. Notice how the plane never touches the ground. But take a look now at what happened today. The plane headed for the runway with no apparent problems, but for some reason, the belly dropped too low and slammed into the runway.
Something went wrong and the aircraft hit the ground and skidded through the extraction zone into the trees behind me here.
The Air Force is now gathering an investigative team from across the country to determine exactly what caused the plane to hit the ground. Larry, one thing we should mention, a Fort Bragg soldier who was on the scene and saw it all happen said this about the pilot, that after the accident, he did an excellent job of maintaining control of that aircraft and steering it away from the grandstand. So even though he lost his life, he did save the lives of many others.
He certainly did. Thank you very much for that, Kelly. And we understand that those training exercises will continue tomorrow at Fort Bragg. Thank you, Kelly. In other news, a Durham police officer is mighty lucky to be alive this evening. 31-year-old Danny Gilbert was shot overnight while chasing a suspect. As we hear from WTVD's Claire Cassademont, his bulletproof vest may have made the difference.
A routine security check turned bloody for Officer Danny Gilbert. It happened while he was patrolling the Straw Valley complex. The routine quickly changed when he spotted someone in this red Volkswagen.
Officer Gilbert got out of his patrol car and began to chase the suspect from this car through the parking lot here at Straw Valley. He then radioed other patrol officers to tell them what was happening. Just when Officer Gilbert got close enough to grab at the man's arm, the suspect turned and fired 2 shots. Officer Gilbert went down right here.
Suspect, I've been shot.
Gilbert was shot on his right side and right knee. He returned fire, but it's not known if the suspect was hit. Lucky for Gilbert, he was wearing a bulletproof vest. Night patrol officers are supposed to wear them, but not everyone does. A minute and a half later, help was on the scene.
Danny, I'm right out here at Straw Valley now. Holler, fire your pistol, do something like find you, man.
An all-night search for the suspect involved dozens of lawmen, but turned up nothing. The shooting comes at a time when there's a lot of bitterness in the Durham Police Department. Officers are angry that they didn't get the raise they wanted. One captain says this is a perfect example of why they need more money.
It's case in point. It's case in point. It's a dangerous job. We're just glad that Danny's not fatally or critically injured.
The 31-year-old Gilbert is hospitalized in stable condition with a bullet still lodged in his knee. He's the first Durham police officer to be shot in 6 years. Claire Cassademont, WTVD 11 News, Durham.
A man accused of shooting his mother-in-law to death, then burying his infant son alive, was convicted this morning in Fayetteville. 28-year-old Randy Huff was found guilty on 2 counts of first-degree murder. The verdict was rendered by a Bladen County jury, bussed in to hear the case because of pretrial publicity. The same jury will now have to decide on the death penalty or life in prison. That sentencing hearing begins tomorrow morning. It is not quite 8 miles long, but its importance to the Triangle area is immeasurable. Just moments ago, Governor Jim Martin cut the ribbon on the new stretch of Interstate 40 from Research Triangle Park to Chapel Hill. And if everything's on schedule, it is now open to traffic a full 6 months ahead of schedule. WTVD's Miriam Thomas is live on Interstate 40 with more on the grand opening. Miriam?
Everything is on schedule. Your timing is just about 10 seconds too late. The governor just went by leading an official motorcade that you are now watching on its way going back to Raleigh. And thanks to this new section of I-40, it's about a 30-minute trip from almost Chapel Hill right to the state capitol. Governor Martin marks an occasion, in fact, that comes none too soon for any motorist who has to make that commute from here to the capital city. This first morning of July marked the last of long hours whiled away by long-suffering commuters caught in tight traffic between Raleigh and Chapel Hill. Before tonight, Highway 54 was the best bet going through southern Durham, but the going was always slow. You could ride from Raleigh to Highway 55, but you had to exit I-40 for the tight, heavily traveled route to Chapel Hill. Well, now it's a straight shot, a much faster 7.7-mile stretch of new road from 55 to 15501. After November 1988, another stretch will take you all the way to I-85 in Hillsboro. And even sooner, come this November, I-40 will link up with Highway 70 east of Garner. It is a commuter's dream and the culmination of what transportation officials term a high-quality highway connection. And believe you me, timing is everything. Of course, the Olympic Sports Festival has been a big part of the push to get this road ready. And tonight, ready it is, well ahead of its scheduled December debut, and I am told right in line with its $28 million budget. Larry?
Miriam, are all those cars behind you lined up to take this route?
Believe me, this place was packed. The good weather held up, and hundreds of people turned out to see the governor, hear some dignitaries make speeches, see the governor cut the ribbon, and off they go. It's open.
It's going to look like the Indy 500 out there. Thank you very much, Miriam. Well, Duke University employees reported to work this morning with no contract, but it's hoped an agreement will be reached next week. About 1,000 maintenance and food service workers on the Duke campus voted down the university's latest offer last night. Both sides, though, have been talking by phone all day.
We're going to have an agreement. I mean, I know that. It's a question of how long it's going to take us and how we're going to get there.
Late this afternoon, both sides agreed to business as usual until Monday morning and go back to the bargaining table at that time. Still to come on WTVD 11 News, Mike Caplan has another hot and humid forecast. Business owners in Raleigh will have to make some drastic changes in their signs. We'll tell you why. The Olympic torch was airborne today as it makes its way to Raleigh for the opening ceremonies. And tonight in Cary, the 9th annual Drums to Dixie competition. We'll show you when we come back.
Picking the best fruit for Food Line begins in the orchard. Like this one in Fowler, California. The rigid selection process begins when these nectarines are washed and inspected. Fruit that's too small or blemished is immediately discarded. Then only the best is handpicked for Food Line. These people know Food Line's high standards for quality produce. That's why they make sure only the pick of the crop ever reaches a Food Line store.
Today is the day we fight fleas with Rid-a-Bug and win. Louise, you take the house. I'll cover the yard. And son, you catch Poochie.
For total flea control, you must treat your home, yard, and pet. Get Rid-a-Bug Flea and Tick Killer for inside. Rid-a-Bug Outdoor Flea Killer with hose sprayer for the yard. And Rid-a-Flea for your pet. Rid-a-Bug, the total flea control system.
Well, troops, we've won. With Rid-a-Bug.
It's summertime. Time to get into your Raleigh-Durham Pontiac dealer and kick up a little dust in a new Pontiac that costs less right now. For 3 days only, July 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, Coggin and Durham and Eagle and Raleigh are staying open till midnight to put you in a new Pontiac by the 4th. Get up to $1,000 cash back or financing as low as 3.9% APR on new Sunbirds, Fieros, Firebirds, and Bonnevils. The cars of summer on sale now at your Raleigh-Durham Pontiac dealer. Let the excitement begin.
When you feel good.
New law. The City of Raleigh's new sign ordinance went into effect today, and there are going to be some changes. The new law's major point is that it limits signs at businesses to 300 square feet. There are many places in the city right now where signs far exceed those limitations. Now, those businesses will have 5.5 years to get their signs back down to the size allotted. The new ordinance deals with business signs only. It does not include billboards. There's intense arguing this evening between rural and city lawmakers over how to deal with the state's low-level radioactive waste. One group wants the state to pull out of the southeastern group that controls radioactive garbage. The other doesn't. The latest battle is over legislation that would virtually require Wake, Mecklenburg, and Buncombe counties to become dump sites. There are nuclear power plants in all 3 of those counties. Wake County representatives are crying foul, but rural lawmakers say they want the taxes from nuclear plants without the responsibility.
Wake County, the other 2 counties, I feel I'm speaking to them, would not object to having this site if it was done on a fair and even basis.
Now, when those same 3 counties are asked to take the waste that extraordinarily profitable facility produces, they want to put it somewhere else.
The argument is critical because, however the lawmakers decide the issue, the dump will end up in a community that does not want it. Mike Caplan says if you got waterproof firecrackers, you better go ahead and pull them out. You might need them this weekend. Looks like it's going to be wet, huh?
Yeah, it does. Either that or enjoy Mother Nature's own fireworks display. Looks like the 4th of July weekend is taking a turn for the worse every night we report it to you, and there's a little bit of rain going on there right now here in the heart of Carolina. Give you the details of our lingering damp weather. That's with a P. Right now, look at the weather zone temperatures. We are cooled off under some cloud cover. 85 is the warm spot in Roxborough.
The Ford Summer Sellout is on, and the forecast looks bright at your Carolina Ford dealer. Choose from a huge selection of Ford cars and trucks with hot 3-9 financing or cash back. Add a factory option package and save over $1,000 on a Ford Escort. Save $1,100 on a Ford Taurus, or buy a specially equipped Ford Tempo and cool off with free factory air. Big dealer discounts too, now through July 4th at the Ford Summer Sellout. Hurry, see your...
Lows, because this is one hot deal that's going to cool down your long, hot summer.
Here we are curbside on the Durham Expressway. A little bit of rain came down during the afternoon hours, but not very much. In fact, at the airport, all we were able to milk out was a trace of rainfall. Show you the day's low and high temperature. We got down to a very warm low of 74 and then right on up to 90 degrees again for a high today. We're still in the plus column for the year as far as rainfall is concerned. The current temperature under the clouds is backed off to 79 degrees with a very high relative humidity. It's just sticky outside right now. Winds coming out of the south at 8 miles per hour, and we've got a falling barometer. Now, the satellite picture will reveal a few breaks in the clouds around the heart of Carolina, but there are also some showers and a few embedded thunderstorms where you see the bright white clouds. Under the clouds, the temperatures have cooled off into the low 80s and a few upper 70s. Asheville, with partly sunny skies, is at 76, 84 now in Greensboro. You can see how warm it is to the north in Virginia. Now, I've got a couple of radar pictures to show you. One of them takes you back to 5 p.m. You can see some of the showers and thunderstorms over the sandhills and the southern coastal areas. To put you into the current perspective, you can see that these have moved slightly to the north. Still have a pretty good storm being reported around Granville and Person counties, but the main rain now extends from about Rocky Mount and Wilson back to Fayetteville. Some more activity out to the west of Winston-Salem and in the mountains. If anything, these storms are dying down, so I don't expect any strong weather tonight. As we look at the national map, there is that Bermuda high pressure system still pumping in a lot of moisture here. The main concern that I have for our weather over the next couple of days is this trough of low pressure that is moving toward us. By tomorrow, it will be right in the heart of Carolina, touching off scattered showers and thunderstorms. On our forecast map, you can see that whole area of low pressure is going to be with us, and that will mean kind of a soggy Thursday, taking us right into a pretty soggy looking weekend. Well, here's the forecast. In the mountains tonight, we're going to be calling for some scattered storms, a low temperature of 65 degrees. Tomorrow, afternoon and evening storms again, a high of 83. Along the beaches, it's going to be warmer tonight, a low of 75 with some scattered storms. Tomorrow, PM storms and a high of 89, waves about 3 to 4 feet along the coast. Here in the heart of Carolina, variable cloudiness, a few scattered storms, none heavy, low temperature of 75, another warm night for us. Southwest wind at 8 to 15. Tomorrow, it's going to be pretty much cloudy day. We'll have some scattered afternoon and evening storms again, a high of 89. Southwest winds at 8 to 15. Tomorrow night the storms will continue and we'll have a low of 73 degrees. The 5-day outlook, I would like to emphasize this word for the 4th of July weekend, scattered. Let's hope we can get in those weekend plans. And at 8 a.m. tomorrow, kind of pre-4th blues, 78 degrees that early in the morning. And the torch is making its way around the heart of Carolina tonight. It is going to be in Elm City. And later on, it's on its way to Rocky Mount, finishing the night off in Wilson tonight, Larry. So it might encounter a little bit of rain there for the torch tonight, but they've been dodging that for the past week and a half.
I hope that thing's waterproof, too. Thank you very much, Mike Caplan. Well, there's only one way to describe it, and that is spectacular. The Olympic Festival torch is going from one end of the state to the next, and today it even went 7,500 feet above it. Members of the Franklin County Parachute Club took the torch into the clouds. We're the first to show you these exclusive pictures of the torch being passed from one parachutist to another. Back on the ground, hundreds gather to greet the jumpers and to take the flame to its next location, which in just a couple of hours should be Rocky Mount. And they're right, that is spectacular.
That's great. That's great.
You're looking forward to it, aren't you?
I am.
It's got to